The divorce settlement agreement really is the focal point of any divorce mediation. The parties are mediating, so they are going for an uncontested divorce. And if the divorce is uncontested, well, then there's a divorce settlement agreement in place. So on our left-hand side, here's a quick summary of all of those aspects that we would need to address during the mediation. And provided that the parties have moved into the emotional space where they are able to, well, negotiate these aspects, we're going to be spending most of the time in our mediation specifically on those aspects. So let's take a look at a practical example. Sure, I know you can't see the heading there, but you will be able to see it on the document that's on our website. This really is a standard form, and you can actually use the one on our website as a template for your own mediations. There we go. Regional Division of Gauteng held at Randburg. So depending on which court, you would basically just update it to look like that. The headings for most court documents are exactly the same in the matter between the plaintiff and the defendant. Who is the plaintiff, who is the defendant, along with their ID numbers. And now we're getting to the preamble. Okay, and this is where we explain to the court, well, the background on the matter. So, whereas the parties were married to each other out of community of property, subject to the accrual system, on this date and at this place. So this is all information that you're going to get from the parties. Next paragraph, parties agree that the marriage has irretrievably broken down. And then after that, very important, 2 children were born from the marital relationship, along with their dates of birth. Okay, so this is all background information for the court to consider. This really is a very brief summary of where we are at the moment. 4th paragraph, the parties had agreed to mediate the case with an accredited mediator in family law. And next one, we are now asking the court to grant an order of divorce. Okay, so we'll start with care, contact, and maintenance with regard to the minor children. Okay, so on that first one there, both parties will continue to have full parental rights and responsibilities with regard to their minor children, and then we list them there. This is a very standard paragraph. 1.2, the parties have voluntarily and amicably participated in the process of compiling this agreement with your assistance. And we can see that they've also completed a parenting plan. Okay, so that parenting plan is going to be Annexure C. Okay, so a completely separate document altogether. Okay. Next, we're going to list that a qualified social services professional has checked both agreements and conducted the voice of the child interview. We don't need to really say anything in addition to that. We're basically just going to include the Form 10 statement in our set of court documents. Okay. Care of the minor children. What does the word care mean in context? Well, who are the kids going to live with? Okay, so here we see the plaintiff shall become the primary caregiver of both minor children. And if we take a look at the ages of these kids, yeah, that's in line. That's in line with the wisdom there. Okay, and here is the address where they are going to be living. Okay, if the parents do decide on joint custody, then obviously we replace 1.4.1 with joint custody, and we list the addresses for both parents. Contact with the minor children. Okay, so here we go into details on, well, what is the contact going to look like? Where are the kids going to see the defendant? Because remember, the plaintiff is becoming the primary caregiver. From what times until what times? Who's going to transport them? These are all very, very important questions. But you'll see that we really only are listing very, very, very little information here. The parenting plan is designed specifically to contain all of the details regarding care, contact, maintenance, all of those aspects. Okay. Maintenance for the minor child is, okay, or minor children rather. So the defendant is going to make these payments in this exact amount into the plaintiff's bank account on that day of every month. And very, very important, regardless of which document you use, please always use an annual escalation clause. Very, very important. So if you want to, or rather if the parties want to, that escalation clause can be connected to the CPI. I prefer to actually use a fixed percentage. Well, what I prefer really doesn't matter, because I'm mediating the case and it's up to the parties, but I am going to educate them on the fact that, you know, CPI isn't necessarily going to be representative of the kind of increases that we as consumers experience. And we also list here effected on the last day of February every year, as long as it's a specific day. Doesn't matter which day it is. Spousal maintenance. So here we list exactly the same information. If spousal maintenance does apply, and usually it doesn't. Okay. Matrimonial property matters, and here we get to the lots and lots of details usually. So now we're going to explain firstly a fixed property. Okay, we're going to start with the fixed properties. Where is this house? Okay. Alrighty. Okay, and what's going to happen to the house when the parties, or when the order of divorce is granted? So who's going to live there? Are they going to sell it? Is one person going to buy the other one out? And what about businesses? Okay, so we need to split those as well. Right, the plaintiff will pay the amount of 377,000 rands, 382 cents and 56 cents into the defendant's bank account by means of monthly payments in the amount of 10,000 rands per month until the balance has been settled. However, the parties want to make this payment from one side to the other one. So I'm assuming this is because a house was bought out. Give all of the details there. Okay, so there really is a lot of space to build something for the parties that they need. Very important heading is we need to discuss legal costs. Who's going to pay for what? Sometimes we find an alternative to this particular paragraph where one of the two parties are paying everything, and we would then usually include in brackets or as an addition at the end, provided that the divorce remains uncontested. Okay, pension funds. Remember that exercise from earlier on in the module. If pension and provident funds need to be paid out, then please insert wording exactly like that. Okay, and this is my standard paragraph right at the end, where I say that if there's any kind of problems before the parties are allowed to go into litigation, they have to come see me, and here's my company's name, or a mediator accredited by whichever governing body before they go into litigation. Okay, ask the parties this. There's really nothing wrong with it. Ask them if they are happy with that, because at the end of the day, you're going to save them a lot of money and a lot of heartache. Okay, and then number 7, further claims. This is really just a kind of, well, to make the contract complete. I'm not going to read through all of these with you. And then right at the bottom, they can sign and the witnesses can sign. I would prefer to not sign as a witness because I do not want to be called to court if there's any kind of problem where one of the parties say that they didn't sign the document. I usually just send them this document and then, with a debriefing, and then they can actually run with it from there. So we'll get to the debriefing. Here is a table. I don't include this table quite often in my divorce settlement agreements, but sometimes just to outline, for instance, in this paragraph, we spoke about the DeFi refrigerator and it belongs to the defendant. So really just to tidy it up and make it complete.